Hey, Yank Teacher Thoughts coming at you with another video. This one's going to be on fabrication of parts for the greenhouse. So as you know, if you've been following along, we got this greenhouse secondhand. I did a really quick teardown with my two sons up at its location in Columbia Falls, Montana. Part of the problem is we had a really rushed weekend when we did that. We went up on a Friday, we finished on a Sunday, and it was a 30 by 100. Anyway, it was a huge greenhouse that we tore down in one weekend. And as a part of that, we lost track of some of the parts. And more than that, it's really that I didn't get a good chance to document how it was put together. I have a few photos, but as far as which brackets went where, I don't have any of that. Which means now that I've reassembled it in my version, I need to fabricate some brackets. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go over to the press brake and we're going to fabricate some parts. But first we've got to cut them on the Stomp shear. Now, I was a sheet metal guy for almost 2 years, have all my digits, but I did work on a CNC press brake and also did work around shears. So sheet metal is something that's a little bit of my background. So hold on, we're going to go and we're going to make this a two-parter. So one is going to be about cutting the parts, and then the other one is going to be about bending them. So stay tuned, here we go. All right, so this is going to be a little bit of one of those where you see my hands but you don't see my face. This is the bracket that we are trying to replicate. So I ran out of these brackets. I don't think we lost them. I think I'm just using more of these than what they did on the original version. So what we've got to do is we are going to be making a part out of, this is a fairly similar gauge of sheet metal, but we've got to make it, we're going to do it just 5 inches in one direction and 3 inches in another. The little wings here are roughly a 1/2 inch, and then it is 1.5 inches wide, and that's what fits the tubing that we've got. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up so we can make a bunch of blanks. I already have a couple of marks on here. So what I've done is I've measured, and this is my 8-inch length here. So from, I think that's in view. Let's see if that's in view. Oh yeah, let's scoot it over a little bit more. So from this end to this end is 8 inches, and we're going to cut them this way as we go through. Kind of into slices. So I want to take the excess off. So that's what we're going to do here. Now, Stomp shears work just like the big hydraulic shears. They will take your finger off if you're not careful, but they work like a gigantic pair of scissors. So I've got it lined up between my two marks. My metal moved. Lined up between my two marks. I hold it there, and I stomp down, and it cuts that steel off. So now I have material that's 8 inches in length, and I need to cut my widths. So when I measure this, it is 1.5 inches wide, and then my little flanges on the side are a 1/2 inch. I know that some of you that are out there saying, oh gosh, you need the bend deduction. I'm not worrying about bend deduction. I'm just going to make these real basic parts. They just go in a greenhouse to hold things together, so I'm not going to worry about the bend deduction. If you don't know what that is, Google it. I'm not going to explain it right now. So to do this, to get my width, 1.5 inches, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, that means 2.5 inches will be my width. So I'm going to go through and mark these 2.5 inches, and I'm going to do this kind of the cheaty way. Got a nice dry erase marker there. 2.5 inches on that one. 2.5 inches on that one. Gonna spin it around and mark my other pieces here. So I'll be making 2 brackets at a time. It's 2.5. And 2.5. Okay, verify that I've got it. Yep. Again, doesn't have to be super precision because we are just turning these into brackets for the greenhouse. It's not going to be supporting anyone, and it doesn't have to be functional other than just structural. There's one. There's 2. Let's keep going. And yeah, I do see it's got a trapezoid shape, but as long as we're going this way, we don't have to worry about it because we will have some left over in the center. Just 2.5. Come 2.5 from here, we should be good. Two and a half and 2.5. That's not going to be wide enough in the center. That's okay. We'll be all right. Again, just basic brackets. Push my fingers. Actually, I'm going to cut this side off because that's the side that's a little bit smaller. So it'll give me a place to put my fingies. Yep. That is not going to work. So I'm going to use something else here to hold it. It's not my finger. Let's try that again. There we go. And it is trapezoidal shape. Not bad though. Yeah, it's about an 1/8 inch off side by side. That's okay. We're not going to worry about that. So we've got our 4 blanks here on these. The next thing we're going to need to do is we are going to want to notch them. I need to make sure that I give some relief in there. So I need to know where my bend is going to be. You know what? We line these all up. Go a little bit easier. My gut bend's going to be right along there. Again, just simple brackets. I'm just going to use a bunch of shortcuts. There we go. We know they're all going to be that way. Okay. So the other thing we'll do is we are going to take a 1/2 inch. We're going to put a 1/2 inch tab on those. So I need to know where that is on each one of these. I couldn't find my permanent marker, so if you see things erase, it's because we're using a dry erase. Teachers have lots of dry erase markers, which is just going to make this much easier. Yep. Okay, that's about where I want it. And I know that I'm going to come out and I'm going to do about 45s here. Those aren't structural, they're just relief. But I know I want them roughly about a 45, about like that. If I really wanted to be super precise, I'd make a whole jig. But I'm not really worried about that right now. Just want to make some simple brackets. So they're going to be about like that, roughly. Okay, grab my next set of tools. I don't have to wear gloves, but I do like to wear gloves when I'm working on sheet metal. Keeps my hands in a little bit better shape. So I'm going to just roughly cut along these into about my 1/2 inch mark. Those will be nice and sharp. Definitely something that we don't want to get our hands on. And those of you saying I am doing it wrong, I know. I did precision sheet metal for 2 years, and I don't have all of the stuff that I'd like to be here. Stuff's not laser cut, we're just cutting it on a stomp shear, we're just making down and dirty brackets. We're just going to hold some of our Lexan on the side of the greenhouse. I don't seem to have my scribe and my other sheet metal tools here, so we're just doing this. Anyway, there we go. Just a couple of rough brackets, and we'll start the video over on the next machine, and we'll show you how we bend those all up. Hope you learned something. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.